Welcome everyone to the C.L.E.A.N Conference 4.0. Wow, in a very short moment, I was about to say praise the Lord, right? But it's an absolute delight to be gathered here today with such an impressive lineup of speakers. I mean, take a look at them, right? An impressive lineup of speakers. We have special guests, quite a number of people who flew from different parts of Lagos. Where are the Ibadan people, the Edo State people? Lots of people who flew in from different parts of Nigeria, I beg your pardon, to be here. Would like to take a moment to also celebrate our phenomenal attendees as well. You want to celebrate yourselves, because sometimes it looks like, you get caught up with work, you're hitting all of your goals, and then you forget to celebrate yourself. So can you celebrate yourselves one more time? So over the next couple of hours, we would embark in what I like to call a 360 transformational learning experience. When I say 360, I mean it's like a whole turnaround learning experience, exploring various enriching topics, right, that speak to our theme today, the exponential growth code. Look at your neighbor and say, hello, neighbor. We're growing together. What did your neighbor say? They were not sure. Are they not sure about growing with you? Right, if they don't want to grow, just say, okay, neighbor, it's fine. You can, I'll grow alone. All right, fantastic. So in the course of the week, right, just before, I know a number of us want to know who I am, but thankfully my name is there, right? But before I do that proper introduction, something significant happened in the course of the week, right, which I shared with our amazing convener earlier today. And, while I was just taking a moment to just meditate on this event and run through my lines, we do all that almost every now and again. Run through my lines, the Holy Spirit brought something to my attention, and I'm having to put that there. I'm a person of faith, so, permit me to share that as well. He brought something to my attention, and in the course of the year, usually when the year is about to begin, I take a bit of time to just prayerfully put together a confession, right, where you are declaring. I mean, you know what they call affirmation in the business world. For me, it's a confession. I call it a declaration of truth. Right? And so I took out time to just prayerfully do that. And one of the things that, was highlighted to me in the course of the week, right, was in that confession, one of the things that I had written there was, I call this year, 2025, my exponential 2025. And just yesterday, while I was driving back home, then it was just, so strong in my heart that, hello, lady, you're actually walking in your reality of what you have been saying over the years. So this is not just a conference. This is a Kairos moment for everyone who is present. And this is a Kairos moment for me, not just as your compare, but the truth is, it's safe to say that I'm walking in the reality of what I've been confessing, declaring. So I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you have said concerning yourself. I don't know what you're saying about this conference. But for whatever is worth, I would like to encourage you to shift your attention, shift your focus, shift your posture. Let it not just be, oh, I'm just here for another conference. I'm here to post on LinkedIn and write big, the big grammar and all of that. But, immerse yourself in this moment, all right? And I promise you that it's going to mark you forever. So I'm releasing my faith to everyone who is present in this room that this conference will be that game changer for you in the year 2025. So again, you are welcome to the C.L.E.A.N Conference 2025. Now, my name is, because a number of you, I see that lady in a scarf, like, oh, tell us your name now, My name is Nneka Tomilola Adesoya. I'm fondly called Kaka, right? And I'm a food business consultant and an exceptional comparer, by the way. And I'm privileged and so excited to serve as your extraordinary host for today's event, right? So again, welcome and welcome again. Now, for the sake of a number of people who are present here who are wondering, what is this C.L.E.A.N? You're probably not sure about what is C.L.E.A.N. It's not to clean your body, all right? Right, now C.L.E.A.N stands for Connect, Learn, Energize, Achieve, and Network. It's a transformative mentoring platform that harnesses the power of storytelling to inspire behavioral change and unlock career and life success. Now, what began as a simple LinkedIn post, you want to celebrate that moment as well. That's just, sometimes you stall and like, should I make that post? Should I not do it? But what began as a simple LinkedIn post has blossomed into a thriving professional community, looking at radiant and amazing people seated here today. So you want to look at your neighbor and say, make that post today. Designed for professionals at every stage of their journey, C.L.E.A.N helps, I know you want some posts, just hold on, I'll give you the hashtag, hold on. C.L.E.A.N helps individuals stand out, gain a competitive edge, and evolve into industry leaders who drive positive change in their communities. Since its launch in 2020, C.L.E.A.N has empowered thousands of professionals to redefine their paths, maximize their potential, and create lasting impact. So once again, I welcome you to this C.L.E.A.N Conference. So I want us to make the most of this extraordinary gathering. So can we celebrate ourselves once again? Now, before I get back to my seats, I have a couple of more minutes left, right? And it's important for me to, get us to move our bodies, because I find that, in the corporate world, we're seated, sending emails every now and again, kindly find attached. Can you expedite the process? Please elucidate. Why has this not been done? Can you respond immediately before COB, right? All right, so I want us to do something quick in the next 3 minutes before, I bring up the one and the only visionary, Olayinka Oyetunji, upstage. Don't get too excited, guys. Is she not looking radiant, by the way? Like when you walk into the room, you're like, this is the convener now. Because she's shining like so much bright lights, isn't she? All right, beautiful. So I want you all to just rise up quickly. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Right. For the ladies in heels, rise up. Our heels should not just be on our feet. Let's just rise up and pair yourself in twos. You don't have to move. Just make sure you have a neighbor. Right? You pair yourself in twos. And there's going to be a quick game. There's a quick game. If you came alone, you're leaving as double, right? But please, emphasis, if you came married, stay like that. All right? Don't change your mind when you, right? Do you understand me right now? Beautiful. All right, so we're going to do something quick. And I'm going to, when I mention the number 1, you just clap your hands, right? So let's do it. Number 1. And when I say 2, you give a high five to your neighbor. Are you ready? And when I say 3, you have to move your body because all of that chicken and stuff, we have to burn the calories. All right? And when I say 3, you go clean. See, now, should I just drop the mic and go? Like the conference, like we're done, right? Because we're not just corporate professionals. We're corporate professionals that have steez. Right? And we can move our bodies. We're not stiff. We're not trees. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm not a tree. I can move. Awesome. I see that man is like, girl, I'm not going to say that, man. All right. Awesome. So are we ready? 1. Sir. He's our special guest, so I cannot even say anything. If not, revelation, Yes, you're good, sir. No, it was just not fast. Thank you. So 1. Awesome. I need to know the churchgoers. 1. Ma. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Clean. Come on, celebrate yourselves. Beautiful. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've set the tone for the level of energy, the high spirits, the joy that we're all going to have in this room. So before we keep it going as well, before I bring up the next person up stage, for every time you're going to introduce yourself in the course of, today's conference, you're not allowed to just say, my name is, do you see? You're only allowed to say something powerful that describes who you are, right? My name is Visionary Ineka. Do you see? So you're not just going to say, my name is Chinwe. I used to work inside nursing. No, we're going to introduce ourselves with a lot of power. All right, so think about your name. Just think about it. And then when we call you to introduce yourselves at any point, you get to, do that very quickly. As we keep it going, I'd like to take a moment to celebrate some of our partners. Please, can we put our hands together? As we celebrate D. Brown Consulting, thank you so much for partnering with us to host this amazing conference. I'd like to also celebrate Bet Niger Foundation, right? I would also like to celebrate Cowrie Wise. Thank you so much for partnering with us to host the C.L.E.A.N Conference 4.0. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to welcome you today again to the C.L.E.A.N Conference and to bring up stage the one and the only. When I say the one and the only, you say, The one and the only, the visionary, the exceptional, the radiant, the professional, the partner, the leading woman in person of Miss Olayinka Oyetunji, the convener of the C.L.E.A.N Conference 2025.
Oh, please, you can have your seat. Thank you so much. I am inspirational Olayinka. She said we should put an adjective. I'm just following what our compare has said. I first of all want to say thank you everybody for coming this morning, this bright Saturday morning of 15th November 2025 to the 4th edition of C.L.E.A.N Conference. Special warm welcome to you. I can't do the welcome better than what Kaka has done, and I'm happy that today has come. I'm very excited. I know today, Kaka mentioned something about it being a Kairos moment. And if you look into my book, that's the same thing that I wrote down, when I was taking through today. Before I go into, the last part of my conversation, I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here today, for the opportunity that we have, as a community to see ourselves again after 1 year. And I also want to thank family. They are here. Everybody for your support. I want to recognize some special people. They are the volunteers. Please, if you're a volunteer here, just please stand up or come inside. Please help me thank them, appreciate them. Please, appreciate these guys. Honestly, they have labored, and they've taken ownership. These guys gather for weeks to pray for you and to pray for this conference. If not for them, it would have been a different story. Have your seats. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I want to thank God for the vision of today. Like Kaka mentioned, it started with just posting on LinkedIn. And then it generated into an idea of let's have a conference. And this is our 4th edition. The consistency is the grace of God, and I don't take it for granted. I thank God for, for the opportunity of giving me that idea and making it be fanned to life. When God gives you a vision, He also gives you people to support you. All the people here, the speakers, they are supporters. The volunteers, I forgot to mention, I do not know them. Maybe I just know 1 out of 20 of them, 1 out of 25 of them. They are all strangers, but they have turned to family. And that's why, we can't talk about this conference without talking about them. Everything that you are seeing here, you all registered digitally, right? It wasn't my idea. No, I'm not Gen Z. I'm not. I don't know technology. It's their idea. I'm sure you all came in and you felt the ambience. They were here till 1 a.m. to put this together. So when I say you should thank them, let me say thank you to them. Thank you. Thank you. I know I don't have anything. If I want to give you a gift, it's book. I'm sure you guys are tired. I always give them books. I'm sure they're always saying, is that the only thing you can do? They'll say, let's go for lunch. I'll say, your books have been delivered. Okay, I also want to thank our partners. Talking about, God sending helpers your way. I walked up to Dee Brown and I said, Dee Brown, we have a conference, and this conference, we talk to young people to upskill. I don't know Dee Brown. I walked up to them, at least the others, I would say that I know one person there, but I didn't know Dee Brown. I said, Dee Brown, we have this conference, and we talk to young people to upskill, to satisfy themselves. Please, can you be a part of it? Can you come with resources that we can leverage? And they gladly came. So I want to thank all our partners, Dee Brown, Carrie Wise, and Bed Niger Foundation. Please, a round of applause for them. Thank you to everyone. And lastly, thank you to you that you are here. You are not here by accident. I don't believe in accidents. And I also don't believe that anything that is coincidental is an accident. Everything that happens for a purpose. Some people came here. In fact, I just discovered at least 2 people came from Ibadan just for this conference. Yes. In fact, someone sent me a mail to say, I didn't know I didn't complete my registration. I'm already in Lagos. Please, do you turn that person back? Because we were actually oversubscribed. We had to stop. We had to close registration. It was a lot. We know our capacity was a lot. But that testifies to the fact that this is a need. And nobody pays attention to the young professionals. Nobody gives an opportunity where all these people that you are seeing here that are speakers, they are connected to me deeply in one way or the other. And that's why I know this year's edition is different. They are my personal connections. And they are people that I respect so much. And they are here to share stories that they would not share in public. So I don't want you to take your being here for granted, honestly, even me. I'm here to get something out of this. I'm here to learn. I'm here to build relationship. One of our volunteers was telling me, she said it was at last year's conference. She told another volunteer that I want to move into fintech. And the person gave her a link to apply for a job. Now she's in fintech. So don't take anything for that person that is beside you. Honestly, can be any next divine relationship. It could be a spouse, who knows? If you don't have a spouse, so I beg, go, thanks. So I want to tell you to meet people, stay focused, don't get distracted. Anytime you get distracted, it takes you 20 minutes to get back to focus. Since you are here, we are kuku here, let's kuku be here together. Let's focus, let's absorb as much as you can. This year is a milestone year for us at C.L.E.A.N. We birthed what we call the C.L.E.A.N Women Mentorship Program. If you are part of the program, please stand up. Show evidence so that we are not lying. If you are a C.L.E.A.N woman mentor in the mentorship program, please stand up. Can you see them? This is not all of them. We started this program in March 2025 because there are some things as women we can't share in public. And the idea was just to have 20 women. Guess what? 200 women applied. When I was reading through their forms and their stories, I was like, God, why do you always, what is all this? What am I going to do with these 200 women? After sorting and sorting, I believe we ended up with 126 women. And we had about 6 weeks of mentorship program. Please have your seat. So please, we now have C.L.E.A.N Women Mentorship Program, which is a major milestone for us. I thought you would clap for that. Finally, I also have a personal milestone. I became a partner this year. Yes. And when I got the news and I shared it with my husband, I said, this is the best day of my life. That's him. This is the best day of my life. And you know why? Because when I look at my journey in less than 13 years, I would never, ever, ever have imagined that I'll be here, talk less of being a partner in a global firm. And you know the funny thing about it? Let me just share it so that when I'm saying listen, the things I go back to listen to the recordings of C.L.E.A.N. I even go back to listen to myself. I'm not joking. When I'm listening to myself, my kids will be like, Mommy, why do you like listening to yourself? I said, don't you know I'm loaded? Yeah, I go back to listen to I will keep listening to myself. And what makes it's not just because I became a partner, it's because I'm the first female partner of my business. Imagine, I'm the first female partner. And also, I'm the first person ever to have achieved partnership in such a short time. So, whatever it is we are teaching here, I don't want to tell you that it's working. So if you apply what we tell you, it has nothing to do with your face. If you apply what we teach, if you apply the stories, you pick the lessons. I mean, these people that are here, I invited them because they have special stories. If you continue to apply, what we have shared here, and every time you want to give up, please, just go to my LinkedIn profile and go and read the stories there. And let that be your inspiration. I also go to those stories because I was telling somebody today, I said, if they act out my life in a movie by Nollywood, you start abusing them. That stupid movie. How can this happen? What's this? Rubbish. Nigerians, they don't do anything well. Am I lying? But those things actually happen. There's always something that you can achieve once you set your mind to achieve it, and that's the story of C.L.E.A.N Conference. Thank you very much for listening.
So ladies and gentlemen, again, I welcome you to an immersion. Are you ready to be immersed? Awesome. Are you ready to turn your audacious goals into strategic wins? Look at your neighbor and say, it is possible. Awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'll be bringing up Ms. Tosin Ojo, who is the partner of C.L.E.A.N Capital. But I'd like to read her profile very quickly before she comes up. Okay, so I'll just make it really short. She heads the private equity team at C.L.E.A.N Capital, a leading agribusiness private equity firm in sub-Saharan Africa. In this role, she leads fundraising, deal origination, execution, and value creation. And she has 17 years of experience spanning private equity, financial advisory, asset management, and investment research. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome with me the delectable Ms. Tosin Ojo, partner, C.L.E.A.N Capital.
Thank you very much, Kaka. I like the prefix you gave me, delectable. Actually, hi, everyone. That's so low. There are a few people that know me, actually. They know if you had met me, if you had met me somehow, anywhere, if they ask you to describe me, there'll be two words that will come to you, to be energy and passion. So wherever I am, it just kind of like have to light up. So hi, everyone. Now we're talking. Awesome. This morning, I've been given the task to talk about turning audacious goals to strategic wins. And I'm going to be telling you through a story. But before I start, I want to appreciate my friend Yinka for convening this. God bless you. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to talk about turning audacious goals to strategic wins. And I'm going to tell you through a story. Like many adults, just before the beginning, like many adults when I left uni, I had this incredible burst of optimism and energy, and that the future will be awesome and the future will be great. I remember walking down amphitheater. How many people finished from me for here? Okay. Awesome. You have to know them in the room. I remember walking through the amphitheater and to receive the VC's, first class award. I felt on top of the world like, oh me, you know how you feel like when you're living, like the whole world owes you. When I collect this pali and I leave this place, everything should be falling at your feet. The world felt so flat and conquerable. And I was looking through as the orchestra team was playing that awesome Great Infe anthem. I felt really proud of myself. Having come through my Olora primary school, through my Jakonde secondary school, I felt really proud of myself. And I'm like, okay, everything is supposed to just run smoothly from here. And then I was lucky, but maybe not luck, maybe not luck. I'm still going to come to the role of divine providence. I got my first job in Stanbic, but it was mobile sales officer. It was January 2008. I didn't interview for the job. I didn't. What had happened was there was while I was serving, there was this recruiting firm that wanted to do graduate fair for young graduates. And I saw it in the Guardian newspaper. And then I applied, but we had to do an aptitude test to qualify for that graduate fair. So I went for the aptitude test and I passed. I don't know what the cutoff was, but I was called to come for the graduate fair. And I went for the graduate fair. So I remember at the graduate fair, there were a number of firms, and I went around dropping my CV to different institutions. I didn't even drop my CV to banking because I didn't want to do financial services. I had read microbiology and I'd constrained my mind that I was going to just find one quality assurance work to do in one, maybe multinational. I'll just be in the lab and stuff, and that's just what I was going to do. All my dream was, let me just get into Unilever or Nestle, let me go and do quality in the micro lab, something like that. Like, that was like the best you could aspire to if you were not going to do your master's or go do a PhD, right? And so I avoided going to the like the financial services booth. But somehow, after a couple of months, I got a text that said, I've been shortlisted for a job in sales in banking. Am I interested? And this was like a month to the end of my youth service. Of course I was interested. I didn't have a job. Would I say I wasn't interested? Of course I was interested. So I said I was interested. And it was December 2007. And they said, okay, if you're interested, come January 7, if I still remember the date, 2008, they gave us address. You have the job, just come. It sounded unbelievable. And we showed up. There must have been maybe up to 50 of us. And they told us, then it was Yemi Fashion that was the head of HR. And he told us then, he was like, okay, so, you are going to be trained for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, you're going to do an exam. If you pass, you have the job. If you don't pass, you're back on the street. And your work after you pass is we post you to all the branches for Stanbic IBTC, and you're going to be bringing in cheap deposits. Just open accounts, whether it's zero or anything. So they actually carved out a name for us. We were called mobile sales officer. We were not normal banker. We're not assistant banking officer or, then when you start in a bank, you're like assistant banking officer. We were mobile sales officer. We're not supposed to be in the office or have a desk. Actually, we were sales agents. The only thing they did us, the only favor they did us was they were paying us full salary instead of paying us like contract staff. And they gave us pension. So that was good. But there were supposed to be 2 of us to a computer. So you're not supposed to have a seat in the office, right? You're supposed to be running around the streets and be looking for accounts. So that was the job. Anyways, again, I didn't have a job. All the other ones I've applied to, they didn't call me. So no, I did the 3 weeks training. I was shortlisted. Now, this is where I was going. I told myself 3 weeks training, I can pass exam, maybe it's exam. If there's anything I know how to do is to pass exam, I'll pass. So 3 weeks they took me. I was, I think, second best in the set, and they took us, and I started. And I was still excited. I remember going to shop for my suits. I felt like I was going to be a banker. But when the work started, they would just chase us out of the office to go to the street. So I remember I was, but I was posted to head office branch, and I'm going to explain the role of divine providence at the end. So I will move from that Water Carrington branch, walk through Akadeshola, walk down Kofa Biomi, just be going from shop to shop. After like a month, I would come back to the office and I would go to the restroom, I'll start crying. I'm like, what is this? Like, how am I doing this? I finished with a goddamn first class. Like, why am I here? And I was so unhappy. And it was funny because we were all in retail banking, but even in the cadre of retail banking, there was like seniority, because even those that were normal relationship officers and, the normal marketers, relationship officers, they would see us and they would call us mobile, and then I would go to the bathroom and I would cry. And then I told my mom that I was going to resign. I couldn't be this. And my mom was like, you can resign, share Nigeria, like nobody resigns work, just continue. But I remember my bank manager then, he called me at a point, he saw me. Because the day we went to do, after we had done, the HR asked for a certificate just to do the post-employment screening and stuff. And he saw my profile. I said, you finished with the first class? I said, yes. So like, what are you doing here? So he had taken note of me. So he saw that I was very demotivated. Then he called me one day and he said, see, this one, just do it first. Just do it. Somehow go out, show effort, just try, just do something. And that word, it was really, really transformational. It was really transformational because it changed how I was thinking, and that will lead me to the second thing I wanted to talk about, right? So this was the beginning, as I said, as we were leaving Ife. That thing that he said changed, it made me realize that I was freaking entitled. Like, who owed me a job, really? Like, so when you went to school and you collected a paper, like, so? Like, so, why should anybody care that you have a first class? And that is the first thing, if you are here, that's the first thing I want to take note of if you are here. The world owes you nothing. Nobody owes you anything. That's the first thing. And so I started thinking that, so what that you have a first class? Like, how does that affect the price of fish in the markets? How does that concern anybody? So I started thinking to myself that actually, here, where I am right now, what's important is they want us to open accounts. And if I'm not doing that, like, it really doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the month, I'll collect a paycheck. Then whatever I think I know, or no matter how smart I think I am, it's irrelevant because I'm not delivering what I'm supposed to deliver right here. So I made up my mind. So I'll go out. So I changed after 3 months. I'll go out. I'll go to Bonnie Camp. How many of you know Bonnie Camp in that Waterkarity side, Mami Market? I'll go inside there. I'll sit down with the okporoko seller. I'll sit down there and I'll say, Mama, this bank, if you open accounts, you can open account with zero balance. So, and then I'll go to, then there used to be this, around the US Embassy, there used to be these boys that used to do photocopy, passports. I'll go and sit down there with them. I'll sit down with G's, they'll become my friend, they'll pity me, they'll open accounts. Because they can open with zero balance. So all I just need to do is, I needed to show progress. I needed to come back and show that, do you know how disappointing it is for them to say, go and bring one account, don't bring money, just get one person, convince one person to open an account, and you come back with nothing. But you say you have a first class. And that's the first thing we need to think about. Like, they're not saying go and ask somebody for money. Just convince somebody to open an account with zero balance. And I started. And that was the first thing. And then the first transition. So I did that, and I started feeling good about myself. And quite honestly, I was, almost trying to settle. I developed a reputation then, I think, in that branch. They used to call me Eshin, the horse, because there was time I was sick and I couldn't come to work. They said, Eshin to 4. Because I would just be walking. I'll just be walking like Jacko, walking. But then, I still remember that, I wanted to do something better. I had this hunger. I felt like I could use, I felt like I have a superpower and I could use it. And this is not what it's supposed to be. But I still stayed there. And then, but something happened, and I think this was by divine providence. Because I was posted to the head office branch. And quite frankly, I'm also a person of faith. I remember the day they were going to post us after that 3 weeks. I actually prayed that I wanted to be posted to the head office branch. I don't know why, but I know that if I'm in the head office, it just felt nice because it's head office. So I was posted to the head office branch. And that was the beginning of my first transition. So out the entitlement mindset, posted to head office branch. And in that head office branch, and I started seeing the bankers, the investment bankers. If I mention, the people who are leading the industry, and it's been a long journey. This story is bringing memories. And then they used to come to the head office branch then to come and do their banking transactions. So I'll be looking at them, and those in asset management, I'll be looking at them. I'll be looking at us, the rest of us that are inside that branch. That's 15 years. Some people are still doing operations, assistant operations officer, 15 years, junior assistant banking officer. So I'll look at them, I'll look at us. I'll look at these people that are coming from asset management. In 3 years, they would have, double promotion, official cars, everything. So I would look at them, and then I started hearing corporate and investment banking, asset management, all these things. I'll Google. I was very clueless when I started in banking, zero. I didn't know deposit, balance sheets, nothing. People used to tell you, I did ICAN when I was in school. I finished ICAN. I didn't do anything. I just read book and came out. I was absolutely clueless. So I will hear things, I'll go and Google it. I'll hear things, I'll go and Google it. And then one day, I decided to send an email to the head of research. I sent him an email. Dr. Yemi Kale was eventually the statistician general. I composed the email, I sent him. So I've overheard some people talking, saying that he likes people that are brainy, that he finished with the first class, he has a PhD. So that he likes people that finish with first class. That's what I heard. So I composed the email and I sent it to him. And he didn't respond. And I felt very deflated. He didn't respond at first. I felt very deflated. Of course, when you send emails to very senior people, sometimes you don't even see the email, So, and then there was a day he came into the banking hall, and then a friend of mine said, he's there. Go and meet him. I said, how will I go and meet him? What will I say? She said, go and meet him. He came to drag me. And then I went to meet him, and then I said, I sent an email, It's like, oh, yeah. You finished with the first class, da, 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 da. And this is the first lesson. The first thing is, what do you have? Start from where you are. Some of us, I'm watching my time. Some of us, especially when you're in a world where things are changing so fast. Today is AI. Yesterday, it was Python. I remember when I was in school, it was Java, C++, something. Before you do 2 years of Java and C++, they've moved to another thing. Before you do another, in 1 year, you'll be hearing quantum computing. Everything will just be shifting. The point is, what do you have? There's something that makes you incredibly you. It's just you. It's not the latest trend. It's not the latest skill. It's just something that makes you. And I'll tell you what mine was, because that's what I figured out. When I was going to send that email to Dr. C.L.E.A., I knew that I love to learn. Like I told you, I can write exam. I love to learn. I knew that I was a voracious learner. Like you can throw me in the middle of information. I will consume it, I will analyze it and digest it like this. I knew that about myself. And I knew that I also had an incredible drive. It does not matter what the thing is. It does not matter what the thing is. I can learn, and I'm extremely driven to do. So I'll figure it out. And those were the only two things I told him. And he said, I should come for an interview. And I did. What do you have? A lot of you are stuck. And then you're trying to, this is fintech, I go to fintech. VC, I go to VC. Which one is the other thing that is running now? The AI, I go to AI, modeling. But who are you really? What do you have? What's your superpower? What is it that you are so incredibly great at? You're not good at it, you're great at it. And I'm going to get to that at the end. Because there's so many people that are good. The one need people that are great. You need to figure out your own. What is it that you're great at? And then, well, the rest is history. I moved to research. And then after I moved to research, I started feeling cool with myself. I was now like in the cool. I heard about CFA. I remember the day I heard about CFA. I was still in mobile sales when I heard about CFA. I was coming one day from my errand work to open accounts. So people now, they gave me certificates to dematerialize. So I got there, so it's by the way gist. I got there, CFA level 1 exam, I just come out results. I saw the whole asset management division, everybody running. I said, what's going on here? They said, this exam, one thing. I go back to my desk. When it was my turn to use computer, Google CFA, I saw everything. Anyway, that's the beginning of my journey. So at this point, I'd now moved to research. I'd written CFA, I hazed to level 1, written CFA, I hazed level 2. I was popular in the bank. Everybody was hearing my name. There's this guy. One thing. I was feeling cool with myself. After like 18 months, I plateaued. And I plateaued because sometimes you are in spaces that are not made for you. You're in spaces, you're trying to fit into spaces that are not made, that are too small for you. Right? I was a junior analyst, I was a first-year analyst. But the rate at which I was moving, my ambition and my audacity, the senior analysts in the team and the associates, they don't have it. And I was choking. Do you understand? It started feeling choking. And quite honestly, I wasn't emotionally mature. My emotional intelligence was very low. So as it was choking, I was reactive. And it felt like a push and pull situation. I knew I needed to leave. I remember then I was a junior analyst, and then I said one of the companies I was covering, even though it was not one of the major companies, I said I wanted to go on an analyst visit. I wanted to go to Edo State, to Presco. I wanted to meet the CEO. I wanted to go. All the seniors in the team haven't done it, and they were wondering, like, what's wrong with this one? We should not sit down in one place. They want me to be doing this daily report. And I'm like, no, I can't do this thing. And then after I push, they allowed me to go for the trip. I went for the trip alone. I was a first-year analyst. I sat down with CEOs. I asked them questions. I went around the factory, did all the analysis, did everything. But I realized that space wasn't made for you. So sometimes also, you're in spaces that are not made for you. So you need to. If I could pick a lesson, I could have done it better. I was quite immature. But the lesson there was that I started looking out for the spaces that were made for me, and I left. And then after I left, from that point, from that first transition, it was just like, boom, boom. I remember my first move when I moved to Vetiva, and then from there, after about 3 years, I felt like I wanted to be head of research again. And then I moved from that point. And then I was growing leaps and bounds. I moved from senior analyst to senior associate. And then from senior associate to VP. I moved from senior associate to VP in 14 months. So between senior analyst and VP, in 3 years, I moved from senior analyst to VP. You know, I was doing very well. Now I'm going to pause here and say something. It wasn't without a lot of twists and turns. But I'm going to say this before I talk about the twists and turns. See, I've said it, I'm going to say it again. It's the emphasis of what I'm going to say today. Every organization rewards A-star performance. The problem is there are too many mediocre performers, and everybody, you know, when they're interviewing you, they will say, what's your strength, what's your weakness? What a lot of people do is they try to minimize their weakness when they are supposed to be extremely, phenomenally, unapologetically great at their strengths. Like, strength and weakness is a continuum, it's a spectrum. Because on the other side of what you call people's strength is actually their weakness. I'm going to use myself as a very practical example. I'm very driven, as you can tell from my energy here. I'm very driven, I'm a voracious learner, I'm impatient. I'm impatient not because I want to push people to be impatient. I figured out why I was later. It's because I learn fast, I expect that from people most times. So when you give me information I've processed, I expect that same level of delivery from people. Then I started learning that, it's not everybody that will be at that level, and then you have to. So those are my fantastic strengths. So it doesn't matter where you put me, I moved from mobile sales officer to equity research, covered many sectors, and then I became head of research, right? Then I moved a bit into asset management. It's the same skills are the things that are serving me. I learn fast and I can do stuff. The same skills. It's not because while I was in research, I was trying to learn programming, and then I tried to learn another thing. No. What is your superpower? I figured out that superpower, and you can move it to different places. Now, here's where I'm going. Your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, a lot of you try so much. My weakness, let me minimize my weakness. When your absolute focus should be on that strength. See, strengths and weaknesses are a continuum. When you are good at something, you are like every other person. But when you are great at something, people optimize for your weakness. When you are great at it, people optimize for that weakness. Especially if you are willing to learn and you can take feedback. People will optimize for your weakness because you are great. You're an A-star. Do you understand? You are just the freaking best. But that comes with mastery and practice. It doesn't come overnight. That comes with paying the price, right? There's this thing that people used to say that anyone that is really great at anything has spent 10,000 hours mastering the skills, right? So that is the price you have to pay. But a lot of us are not willing to really pay that price. You're always willing to, I've done a little, then I move to the next thing. Now, when you pay, and remember, pay the price, but let it be in what you're already good at. Who are you? What's your superpower? That's that thing that you have is what you should start from. And when you start from there, then be damn great at it. I mean, I say to my children, I say this to them, I say, I don't care what you want to do. If you like, be a sweeper. If you like, be a road warden. I don't really care anything you want to do. But what I absolutely care about is that you are not a mediocre in doing it. If they are going to count the best people in that field, you better be one of them. Then I'll give you all the support that you need. But really, go be anything. So that's the thing. In every organization, strengths and weaknesses are a continuum. The problem is many of you are just around average. There's just nothing that stands out about you. So it's very difficult for anyone to... I've worked in 4 or 5 different institutions. If you call any of them and say, describe Tosin in 2 words, they will say, she has energy and passion. If you want something done, give it to her. That's what they will tell you. This other thing they will tell you is that she's very versatile. She's very versatile. How many of you watch football? Versatile players, like utility players. How coaches like them. Like they can play right wing, left wing. They can be midfield. They can play defense. Coaches like those kind of players. Not the one that will say, if they don't give me ball in this particular way and serve it in this particular side, I cannot score. Okay. So those kind of players. So if you ask them, they will say those 2 things. And then if you want anything done, she does it, and she's very versatile. And then another transition came. I'm going to talk about this second transition because it was about when I was 10 years and I'm rounding up. 10 years in my career. Now, I'd gone off the survivor mode, and purpose came calling, and I had plateaued, but I had a very good career. I had a very, I was A-star in my organization. I was direct succession pipeline to the founders. When I said I was going to business school, the whole board had a meeting so that, what can we do so that you stay, so that you don't go. But I knew that I needed to make another transition. It was, when you've invested like 10 years into a career, there are easy pathways that you can easily flow into. But then I'm trying to make a shift that is almost like 360 degrees from that pathway. And it didn't make sense. And people were like, are you sure you know what you're doing? But like I said, purpose came calling. So I went to school, I came back, and sometimes people try, not because they are bad people, but because you're so great at what you're doing, they want to keep you. They try to sell you their dream. And I still came back and stayed for another 6 months because, they were like, okay, just stay. We can maybe figure out what you are going to do here. But it didn't work. So I left after 6 months. And then I left, and this was the second transition. It took me 2 years to find my balance. And at a point in that journey, I was asking myself, are you sure village people are not worrying you? Because, you had such an awesome job. What is this thing? And let me tell you what it was. I was doing asset management, public market. I wanted to do impact investing and development finance. And it was such a giant leap because people who would go from that to here would have been people that have done, may say, investment banking, like full-blown investment banking or M&A, and then will be able to go directly. Even for full-blown investment banking M&A, they still find it difficult. Like, they need people who have like PE direct experience. But that was the transition that I was going to make. And then there were a few meandering twists and turns trying to get there. Again, the same principle. What do you have? At that point, I went to one institution. I wasn't a fit. I left. And then I started a firm on my own. Again, what do you have? Those two things I said are still there. So if I could use it for another person in another organization, I can use it for myself. Luckily, I've done sales before. So now, at least I know how to get clients, even if it's one person. So it added up. And then the last thing is all of the skills I've gathered in this my 10-year journey, I put them to use. Again, what do you have? It's always it is not according to what you do not have, it's according to what you have. The problem is you're commonizing what you have. So you don't even know what you have, and you have not fine-tuned it to be great at it, to excel at it, right? So you continue to jump. They said this is what they are doing. You go for this training. They said, I'm not against writing professional exams. I wrote CFA. By the way, it showed me paper before I passed level 3. So that story I told earlier, before I passed level 3, I saw Shaggy. Anyways, I'm not against professional exams, but why? Why are you writing it? Some of you will write CFA. You finish, you write FRM. Then there's this, which other one? Whatever. You just go and write. And you are right. Why? Why are you writing it? What do you want to do? What do you have? Why are you going up and down? Today now, they say it's Python plus modeling plus something, you go and jump inside it. They say AI plus something. We thought the tech and the AI, the tech firms are the one laying off the most people. We thought the tech skills they have, they'll just come. 10,000 people, go. So the point is, what do you have? What you have, your superpower. By the time you are great at it, nobody lets go a great employee. It does not matter what transformation they are doing. Nobody lets them go. Anyways, now the last transition, eventually I found my way into PE. The same thing I did, what I had. Now, because it was, at a much more senior position, I was now a VP, the transition took a while, but I still took the same thing that I had. I started something on my own when nobody gave me a chance. I was doing the advisory I wanted to do on my own. I was getting clients. I was executing. I was doing the capital raising. I was, supporting startups. I did it on my own. And then that became the template for me to now tell people that, see, I did this on my own. I got this client. And then I helped the client to do this and this. And then I found my way back into PE. And then I found my way back into PE, still as VP. Now I've been a VP for like 7 years. But again, the same superpower that you have. I get things done. I learn fast. I'm versatile. I get things done. I'm a voracious learner, and I'm versatile. I became partner in 3 years after I joined PE from VP. But the point is, what do you have? Now, these are the lessons I'm going to close with. I've shared them in different points. First, Audacious goals. I'm hoping that you are here because you have those audacious goals anyways. Because if you don't, go and set them. Let go of an entitlement mindset. Nobody owes you anything. No. Nobody owes you a job. No, nobody owes you anything. What do you have? Start from there. I guess this probably will be more introspective for a lot of you when you live here. You need to go and think about what you have. Start from there. Who are you? Like, what are the things that are just you? What do you have? Start from there. When you now find that thing that you have, bring solutions. In the organizations where you are, where you're working, everybody who loves people will bring solutions. Some people find problems. Bring solutions. Then do it. Remember I said I get things done. Do it. Execute it. Do it, and be the best at it. I'm a stickler for excellence, so be the best, because the middle is too crowded. The reason you are struggling is because you are in the middle. Nobody can identify anybody in the middle. Be the best at it, and don't doubt yourself. I'm going to close now. My time is up. But this story will not be complete if I don't mention the role of divine providence. And I've said many things, and it sounded like, I could do this, but there were a few moments in life, critical junctions of life, that if not for certain divine providence, then this whole story would not have even happened. And one of those moments was the day I saw that advert in Guardian newspaper, because I may not have seen that advert. I'm not like a lot of people that they finished, they did this aptitude test at PwC, and they passed, and they interviewed them. That's not my own story. My own story was, they said we should come and do sales. I entered, they did exam for us, I passed, I got a job. That was the beginning. I was a mobile sales officer. That's first moment. Second moment was when I actually prayed. I said I wanted to be posted to head office branch, even though I didn't know why. My path would have been very different if I was in one branch in Orile Gomu or one branch in, Baja or something. Very different. Very, very different. Now, I had absolutely no influence in that posting to head office branch. I was second best overall. I wasn't the first. So it wasn't a question of like maybe they were using the first or second. I was the second. The first wasn't posted to the head office branch, but I was posted to the head office branch. And from that point, the rest is history, because everything I saw, everything I knew, everything I wanted to be, everything that changed my mindset, my thinking, my mentality was only because I was posted to that head office branch. So don't never, ever ignore the place of divine providence. But I guess we are here so that we can talk about what you would do. Because, God will always do his own part. Problem is, we don't do ours. So what do you have? Start from there. Thank you.
You want to ask your neighbor this moment, what's your superpower? If there's anything that she said to me, in this room is, don't commonize your strengths. Don't commonize it at all. Don't commonize it at all. There's this, for the sake of those who are non-Yorubas, I'll just try to say it, I'll say it in Yoruba, and then I'll try to interpret it in English, hopefully. There's something that my late mom would say to me each time, I'm just doubting myself, and she'll look at me and say, "Shewawa kirini." So in case you don't understand, in English, she just simply means "Shewawa kirini." Do you get? Right, so you can tell, for those who are non-Yoruba, just ask your neighbor, right, to interpret that for you. But that was something that would always inspire me and make me go back and say, no, girl, you are not small. And that's something that, Ms. Tosin Ojo has come to remind us today, that indeed we're not small. You have more than enough to keep you going. So here's to, turning our audacious goals into powerful wins. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and reminding us that indeed it is possible to become so much more in the space of 15 or, how many years? 17 years. And, she's partner, like she said, we don't even know what she would become before this year, rounds up. Who knows? Should we speak? Should we call things that be not as though they are? So what should we make her become? I love it. Somebody said presidents. Ladies, female presidents. Yes. Don't we want a voracious learner that will become a female president and remind you to read every month? Right? Every of her, honorable ministers and all of that will have to be reading. And then they would have presentations every now and again. So when you're doing your road construction, sir, please come and, read the thesis and, how you came about this, information. Awesome. All right, we're going to keep it moving. And while we're all seated, I'm very big about, I love marriage. How many of you love marriage? Right, and I'm one woman who I can say for a fact that my husband is a man who is so secure in himself and has given me wings to fly. I was supposed to be here. At the time that he knew I was here, he was the first person to wake me up. Oh yeah, you're going to pray earlier so that you can leave the house on time. So that's, so while we were seated here, we had the privilege of having our very own visionary's husband walk in, while we were here. So can we take a moment to just celebrate him? Celebrate a man who is secure in himself, a man who is giving our very own, Miss Olayinka Oyetunji the wings to fly. Sir, we appreciate you. We celebrate you. We are grateful. I'm sorry I put you on the spot, but when we see good things, we like to celebrate them. So again, thank you. No, don't cover your face, sir. Thank you so much. Can we give him a big thank you, sir? Thank you so much. Awesome. Please be seated. If you're not married, you marry well. Right? Remember what, Mr. Ojo said earlier, about, don't despise those small things, from being mobile sales officer to becoming, so the man may not look like it now, but lady, you just never know. All right, who's ready to receive our next speaker? Up next, I'd like to bring up Dr. J.B. Omodayo Owotuga, who would be speaking on architecting your career transformation. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome with me the phenomenal Dr. J.B. Omodayo Owotuga. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Please sit down. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just before I start, if you do not mind, I would like to just make two announcements. Number one, if you came in here and you heard JB will be talking about architecting your career transformation, and in your mind, JB would give you 3 steps for career transformation within 72 hours. In actual fact, that session is ongoing, but it's not here. So all you need to do is step out and then turn to your left. And the room is there where that conversation is ongoing. 3 quick steps to transforming your career within 72 hours. Someone said that's the toilet. That's the only place where, where such conversations are. And then the second, it's also possible that you don't like storytelling. The convener specifically told me that it's about your story. Talk about this topic, but tell us your story. So if you do not also like storytelling, you are the very serious one. I'm sure you can see that I'm the most unserious in this room anyway. So if you are the very serious one, you want your own session to be, no storytelling, 5 bullet points. It's okay. We have a session for you. You just go out, you make it right. And then someone said that's the stairs. Yes, because sometimes the elevator is not fast enough when you need to go. Thank you very much. Before I go into my paper, like I said, I'm the most unserious of everyone. I don't even have slides. It's that bad. But I hope that, I'm able to say 1 or 2 things that would help you. But before that, I think it would be complete injustice if we do not specially appreciate the woman who put this together. I would do better. I wouldn't clap that way for someone who did this and did it for free, Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We're grateful to you. We're grateful to you, madam. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Please have your seat. I was talking to our director of HR, and I said, a number of times people write to me to come speak. I turned such opportunities down, mostly because you can't charge people to come listen to me, and then they assume that I'm in the business with you, right? So my views are that if you really want me to come, share my views, share my experience, then it has to be an event where you're not charging people, and that's why I'm here. So please, one more time, please put your hands together for... So, thank you very much for having me. Architecting your career transformation. I won't waste too much of your time. I'll tell you my story. Sometime in 2007, I'd worked in a bank, moved to one of the big four. I do not want to mention the name so that Yinka doesn't get very uncomfortable. So I moved to one of the big four, and then from there I moved to an international bank, and then to the African Finance Corporation. Oh, wow, right? And then, everyone around me felt, oh, that's a very good job. The AFC, oh, wow, But it didn't feel that way deep inside of me. The money was good. I was being paid in USD in 2007, but it just didn't feel it. Because there's a difference between your monetary reward and what gives you personal satisfaction. For some people, money gives the best satisfaction. You know what we call utility, right? I'm sure you did it in economics. For some other people, the utility for money actually diminishes over time, and you begin to go after what we call what really makes you happy. So I was in the role for about 4 years, from 2007, and every time I'm like, there's just something missing. I had a clear career goal. I want to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. Simple, straightforward. I've had it since I was in the university, and I said, I want to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. Why a listed entity? I want you to know me. That's it. You don't have to explain to anybody why is your goal. Why a listed entity? Why not just your own company? I want you to know me. If it's not listed, you won't know me. So I wanted to lead a listed entity in Nigeria. So while the job gave me all the monetary resources, I was learning on the job, I still had that huge, vacuum. And what was that vacuum? And it was just that I couldn't see a clear path to achieving my objective. It wasn't there. And then sometime in September 2011, right at home, I then got a call. Hello, Tunde. This is Femi. I got your number from C.L.E.A.N. And in my head, and because I saw several zeros, so I assumed, oh, this must be a special number owned by a special person. Hello, Tunde, this is Femi. I got your number from C.L.E.A.N. I'm like, nobody calls me Tunde anymore to start with. So this must be one very old class, primary school friend. Okay, so who is this C.L.E.A.N who now gave this to Femi? Okay, maybe it's C.L.E.A.N Yalan or C.L.E.A.N Adesonya or something. I was thinking in my head, and then while I was still thinking about it, I said, oh. And he said, I mean C.L.E.A.N Agbaje. Okay. MD of GT Bank. And then I am actually Femi Otedola. Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, sir. So, good afternoon, sir, isn't it? And he said, I've been looking for a CFO for my oil and gas company. And I was told that you are the one that can do it. So, and I want you to come work for me. Wow. I said, the number one rule is okay. Whether you will take the job later or not is secondary. So you start from, oh, thank you very much, sir. I'll come see you, we'll have a conversation, isn't it? You can't say outright no. It's not possible. And it can't be outright yes. So I found a way to tell him that we'll have a conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, everyone I told I would be leaving the AFC to join African Petroleum. They were clear in their minds that this guy must be sick. Because at that point, African Petroleum just released its financial statement and made a 21 billion loss. Shareholders' fund was looking negative. Things were looking really bad. The biggest shareholder at African Petroleum at the time had also just gone through a major debt crisis. So by every standard, it just didn't make sense. And that's the point. It doesn't have to make sense to everybody. It just has to make sense to you. So, and then for me, it's an executive director role. This guy is barely 30. He's a listed entity, right? And as the executive director, I'll be the number 2. And my target is to be number 1. So if you get that at 29, almost 30, then... So I said to myself, this is the major shift that I have been looking for. It made no sense to everyone. Now, to top it up, African Petroleum couldn't match my pay. It was a pay cut. But because it was in line with what I really wanted to do, which is to lead a listed entity in Nigeria, and I felt it was going to give me the right positioning for such, I took the job. And that's how I've spent 14 years in Mr. Femi Tedola's shop. And I can say to you, it's given opportunities that I wouldn't have ever gotten if I stayed behind at the African Finance Corporation. And I can say boldly in very, very clear terms that it was the best decision of my career that I took at that time. So that is my own story and how the transformation happened. So the question is, what is actually transformation? Before you say something is transformation, you must actually even understand the word that you're actually using. Different career moves can create changes. And these changes could be positive or negative. When it's negative, it's destructive. But when it's positive, then it's what? It's transformational. Because it means it's taking you closer to where you want to be. It's taking you closer to your goals. So transformation is not just changing jobs or getting promoted. It's about evolving your capacity, your mindset, and value. But more importantly, you're evolving to achieve your objective. It's a shift from potential to performance, the journey from where you are to where you can be, often requiring unlearning old habits and developing new ones that align with your goals. It means taking ownership of your growth story rather than waiting for circumstances to shape it. I'll speak more about that in a few minutes. Now, why is transformation important? Why do I have to move from being a mobile that Tosin was to become a partner in a private equity company? I think it's about you. Do you want to live a life of impact? And what is your definition of that impact? It can't be the same for everyone, right? That's number one. Number two is that the world is evolving. Things are changing. So you must also change. Your career must change, and you must work towards it. Personal transformation actually attracts external transformation. You need to change on the inside to attract the changes that are actually happening on the outside. Without transformation, you also risk being trapped in yesterday's success. So you hear people say things like, when this was. That is what we call old glory, And let me come to our balance. I get them before. No be property. So how do you architect the transformation you desire? Number one, you have to own it. I am sorry. It is not that thing. It is not one of those things that you outsource to your mentor. Should you have a mentor? Yes, by all means, have one. Should you have a pastor, a religious leader that you talk to concerning your career? It's fine if it makes you happy and comfortable. But should you outsource your own transformational journey? The answer is no. You must own it. Say to someone, own it. You must own it and take responsibility for it. Owning it is not just saying, I have my goal. No, you have to take responsibility. You define timelines. Take full responsibility. Nobody is coming to save your career. I'm sorry to inform you. There's no one. I have my own issues. You have your own issues. You must take responsibility for yours. You are the architect, so you don't outsource your growth to your boss. Your boss has got quite a number of you with him. And we are human beings. I'm sorry to inform you, no matter how I want to try as your leader, there will just be something that would attract you to one person more than the other. So now imagine you living your entire career and your life in the hands of someone who is that subjective. I don't know if you get what I mean. So you must own it. You can't outsource it. You can't leave it in the hands of your company. You can't also leave it in the hands of the environment. That's even the worst one. You can't just leave it to chance. You also need to know that your margin of error grows slimmer as you grow older. I'm sorry for the people in front here. These older people, they don't want to hear it. So I'm talking to you at the back. The truth is, there is a negative relationship between your risk tolerance, right, and your age. As you grow older, there are some tough career decisions that you may not want to take anymore. You have a wife at home. You have got a set of twins. You wouldn't tell your wife and your children that it's because I'm trying to take this risk, then there's no school fees. He opened his mouth and said, there's no explanation. So your margin of error, right, reduces. So there's actually a negative relationship. Economics students, you know what that means, right? When you plot it on the X and Y axis, it's actually negative. So as you get older, in actual fact, your margin of error reduces. You can't take it. When I took that decision to join African Petroleum, one of my mentors, when I met with him, he said to me, young man, you are 29. If it doesn't work, what is the worst thing that will happen? You start again. But if you're 45, you want to do that, or you're 50, you have a boy in University of Leeds. It's going to, you have to pay, isn't it? You have to pay school fees. So, but for a young boy, 29-year-old boy, I just had one small boy who was 4 months old. If it didn't work, we just go back now and go back to my big 4 and just do something. So your margin of error drops. So that's why it's important that this conversation is with you, the younger ones. You need to know that this is the time to make those decisions. This is the time to move quickly. Like Tosin said, self-awareness is extremely important. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your blind spots. And you also need to know your triggers. That is about owning it. You must own it. You must take full responsibility for it. You must have a plan. That's number 2. You must set clear, very clear goals and define what success looks like for you. I said this earlier. Your definition of success has to be personal. And you don't need to explain it to anyone. You don't need to. It's about what you, for your career, what is success? What does success mean to you? In 15 years' time, where would you want to be? Doesn't matter where all others are at, it's about you and where you want to be. It's not enough to have just a plan. You must work towards your goals, but remain very flexible. This is extremely important. Tosin mentioned earlier that it's not just to talk. Talk is what? Cheap. You need to do what? You need to do it. Action. But you have to make sure your goals are flexible. Things are changing. The environment is evolving. the business environment is involving. Don't say, oh, it is what I want to do. I defined it while I was in university in 1998. Young man, the world does not need that solution anymore. What's the point making what we don't need? What's the point towing a path that is leading you nowhere? So it's extremely important that it's very flexible. Becoming the person your goal requires is extremely important. You have to be focused, diligent, and also act with integrity at all times. And I want to spend a little more time on this. Being focused is something that is extremely underrated in this part of the world. And I say to people, a man that is going nowhere never misses his way. He's always on the right path. So if you do not have a clear plan, you don't know where you are headed, you are not focused as to this is where I'm going to, then it means wherever you find yourself, you are still on the right path. I think that makes a lot of sense. So you must know where you are headed. You must define where you are headed. Diligence is extremely important. You know, we overrate, he's very brilliant, she's very brilliant in this part of the world. And we underplay diligence. Diligence is extremely important. You have to be extremely hardworking. Tosin made a first class from the University of Ife. She got the job without an interview. If she didn't go out there to bring those accounts at that particular time, that's it. They could have sacked her. And that wouldn't change anything. You have to put the work into it. The world does not owe you anything. You need to work really hard. Integrity. Integrity. Do not like shortcuts. You want to transform your career. You want to move from your Greek business into technology and all of those. Don't look for shortcuts. You know, Warren Buffett says, in recruiting, he looks out for three things: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And he said, if you do not have the first one, he doesn't even bother to check for intelligence and energy because you will kill him in the process. Think about it. A man who doesn't have integrity but has a lot of energy and is intelligent, he will kill the company. There will be no company in another few months. So integrity is extremely important. And I want to assure you, the very young ones, we've seen it over time. Shortcuts lead, they are very short term. Very, very short term. We know people who took various shortcuts at different points. Right from secondary school, they started. They are in the school, someone is writing GCE for them. They started. University, they were doing it. At work, they started too. They do not want to put in the work. They would rather go, talk to people, try to use relationships to get to the top. But one thing I have seen, and I can tell you in my 23 years of working, is that shortcuts never give any long-term results. You will realize that if you stay the course, you remain ethical, you do the right things at all times, those people cannot match you cerebrally and materially. So initially, it looks like they are better than you materially. But in the long run, you will realize that cerebrally and materially, you're actually better than them. Cerebrally in the sense that when you see people who do not act with integrity, who try to follow shortcuts, after some time, they stop learning. They stop doing the right things, they stop learning, and then they would just, they just begin to deteriorate. So my plea is that when you have your plan, remain focused, diligent, and ensure that you act with integrity at all times. In your plan, you must ensure that you continue to improve yourself regularly. In the Big Four where I worked, since Yinka has said I should not mention the name, the very first thing we were taught is that he who does not read is not any better than he who cannot read. Think about it. So a whole day, you didn't read anything. You didn't read a book. You didn't even read anything. How are you different from a man who cannot read at all? So you must read. Knowledge is power. You must study regularly. Take professional courses. And I do not want to emphasize what Tosin had said previously. Is you don't take professional courses because others are taking it. Like I said, it is you. You must own your own process and personalize your own process. take professional courses, attend conferences, attend C.L.E.A.N. Attend C.L.E.A.N. Be at C.L.E.A.N 5.0. Be at C.L.E.A.N 5.0. And then for the very young ones, I know it's not a problem for the older ones, reduce your time on social media. I mean, it sounds, this man is old school. I'm not as old school as you think, but I must tell you that most of the time, what you're doing on social media is just wasting your time. I mean, someone is fighting someone, they have marital issues. How is it your business? No, on a serious note. And then you spend the next 1 hour analyzing it, discussing it. I mean, just sit down and say to yourself, of what value is this information?